Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 3 premiere of Alice in Borderland. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, it's unclear how much time is necessary to pass. Well, we see something that says 2024, but I'm like... Matsuyama's like kind of journaling and we're keeping notes and it says 2024. I don't remember if season 1 took place in 2019 or 2020, so it's been 4 or 5 years in total. Lots changed. The fact is Arisu and Usagi and me, I'm not only you guys still in each other's life, but you're even closer than ever. It makes sense. You might not remember everything, but the heart kind of remembers, and something beautiful got built from that. But it was interesting because Arisu is getting questioned, and I don't know if how often this has happened. I mean, he says he only met Matsuyama the one time, so this must be a pretty recent development of everyone who survived the meteor strike in, was it Shibuya, is now getting questioned and stuff like that, because Matsuyama has some connection to that, and studies the afterlife. Some people, I don't know if their colleagues were whispering about something happened to him. Apparently a student died, and when he saw Usagi, he was getting glimpses of a memory of something. I guess maybe it has something to do with that student. So I'm wondering if I wonder if it's, you want to use this as a reference, but I don't really. I know there was a TV show I had to, but Flatliners. I don't know if this is I don't know if he was kind of studying a Flatliners type of situation and he ended up killing a student in a process, and that's why he's obsessed with the afterlife, or maybe he the student. I don't know. The fact is there's a student, his studies with the afterlife, a student, there's something there. So we'll probably get filled in more as the season progresses, but he's listened over and over again to people who survived the incident, and they have the common story of dreaming of a faraway place, a journey, games. And so it's been a consistent thing and theme amongst everybody. So he's taken an interest. It's interesting because he took an interest in Arisu, but he really took an interest in Usagi the moment he met her, which I was I wonder what that's about. I was that's interesting. I wonder, did he know from the beginning that she would be the biggest thread to pull on or something? What I wonder what it was that made him. I mean, like I said, he had that triggering memory. So maybe it's because Usagi reminded him so much of that person. Once again, whether that's the student, the aforementioned student that died, or whether that was someone close to him that he was doing that with that sent him down the path he's on. Whatever the case may be, was that enough to kind of make him approach Usagi later? Because Arisu and Usagi still don't remember anything. They have a feeling and a vibe, but they don't have any actual memories. So they end up just going back to their daily lives. And we see that Usagi was dreaming about her dad, which I was interesting. So I was even after all this time, that's still plaguing you. I mean, because she still never found out what exactly happened to her dad. He went missing. It's just presumed that he went somewhere and killed himself because of the whole scandal, the whole lie about, someone spread the rumor and word started spreading like wildfire that he never climbed the mountain he claimed he did. And so that everything, his legacy was all built off a lie. And so he wanted to kind of prove people wrong. And that was the last time Usagi saw her dad. And so that has haunted her for a long time. And it's and she even says later on in that recording, which is so sad, when she was being interviewed, that, because I was because she woke up from a nightmare and she was oh, are you okay? And she's yeah, I'm fine. It's nothing. So it's she never told him about, I can't remember if she told him about her dad at all. She probably did, but he didn't know how much it was still haunting her. And she felt guilty because it's I'm married, I should be able to move on with my life, but now I'm stuck here and I'm still dreaming about my dad. But it's even though I know, even though it's causing me pain, even though it hurts, even though I'm watching him kill himself over and over again, it still feels good to still be with him, to feel his presence. And so for her, it's she knows, if she told that to Arisu, it's how effed up is that? I'm so, I'm this terrible feeling and seeing my dad kill himself over and over again. I'd rather I want to stay there in that feeling rather than being kind of like moving forward and happy. Like I can understand why you feel like you can't talk to anyone about that, especially Arisu, you know. But he's feeling guilty where it's like, did I not like handle things right? Like did I not approach this in the right way? Like, you know, I could have helped you. Like we've always been a team. We might not fully remember everything, but we've had each other's back, you know. We went through so much together, and maybe it's also because she can't fully remember all of that she doesn't remember like that she could confide in Arisu like that. I mean, they're together and everything, but it's still like, I think if she remembered all that, maybe that might made her more, well, we'll talk about it in a second, but like she does remember. But I was wondering if that would made it a little easier to confide in him, or maybe it would have still made it just as hard to confide in him. And like, how do you like contend with those complex feelings, you know? I'm jumping around a lot, but like when she was staring out like at that building and stuff, I was like, what's the connection there? I'm not getting it. And it's not till she went inside, I recognized the lobby. I was like, oh my God, the hotel, the beach. I was like, wow. Like I said, from the outside, I didn't, because I don't remember too many exterior shots. To be fair, I haven't seen season 1 since, 2022? Because I believe I rewatched it prior to season 1, but I don't remember. Like, I don't remember a lot of exterior shots from, like, the beach. But, like, you know. But I was like, wow. So that's what I was like, that's crazy. And obviously she's remembering, because it's like, that is the most death yeah, there's quite a few people that die throughout the games, but that is the most concentrated amount of death that Usagi had ever experienced and been around. So many people died there. And unnecessarily, too. Like, and obviously that was kind of the whole point, sadly, but it's just like, man, that situation sucked. They were just, oh God. Either way, circling back, Matsuyama gets approached by someone who talks about a seminar group, and you're like, well, and they're like, oh, they play games and stuff. You're like, well, this isn't going to deal with the Borderland situation, because I'm like, I was like, this has got to be like some kind of weird cult that you're going to get mixed up in. And when he goes to play the game initially, I was like, well, this is going to be some BS, right? Because this has nothing to do with that. And then, like, the first person that loses gets electrocuted and dies. You're like, oh, this person gets up from the chair and she dies. And you're like, oh, so this is, I'm like, well, this can't be real. But it's like some psychopathic person putting you in a position, like we own some Squid Game stuff right here. And yes, there's the parallel, but like even more so this, because like this was a grounded situation. Like the show was always kind of, and even the manga had that supernatural twinge to it. So like, I was like, this seems grounded. So I think this is just some crazy person. And it, you know, it's a game of old maid. And obviously you're like, well, only one person can win, whoever gets the Joker and keeps it at the end of the game. And also, you know, like you felt bad because like everyone's going to die. That last 50-50 was crazy. And I guess like Matsuyama played the mind games where it's like, okay, he's like, here. He literally put the Joker card as like the one, but like it's a mind game because you're like, wait, there's no way he's telling me which one is actually the Joker card. He's messing with me. He thinks I'll be stupid enough to pick that one thinking it's the Joker card, but it's definitely not. You're trying to trick me and you end up picking the wrong card and dying. Also, those deaths are brutal because like not only like you see their skins burn from the electricity, but also like their eyes bulge out like they're about to pop out. I was like, ugh, that's just hard to look at. But Matsuyama won in the end, and then when he wins, the guy in front of him starts changing and turns into one of the guys. And I love that they started the opening with that, like picking up where with the last, like with Arisu and Usagi when they won and decided to leave, but the two that decided to stay, interestingly enough, and the guy's just like, you know, welcome to the game, like welcome to the Borderland. And I wondered, like, because things in this whole situation is playing out way differently, because the purpose of the games is like it's supposed to be a Borderland. It's supposed to be basically purgatory between life and death. And I'm like, those two, did they come and basically take the game and shift it into what they wanted? They talk about, the guy just says he's a citizen, but I'm wondering, is he much more than that? Like, is he an orchestrator of the game as a whole? I mean, you know, citizens are able to kind of make up their own games, but I wonder, did they become like the masterminds or something, or did he in particular become the mastermind? Because it's like, the fact is you're able to bleed over into this world like that. You're not supposed to be able to, but like, things have changed. I mean, we're literally dealing with the Joker card, which seems to be the main like iconography for this season, because that was the literal last shot of both. Because the manga and the second season end in the same spot with like the Joker card reveal. So I don't know if that's just kind of the role that he's playing, because I'd assume none of the other face cards hold the same value that it do. Like, I wonder, like, do they hold any significance? Because the Joker card was the only one that was never in play during season 1 or season 2, and now it is, and it seems to be the biggest focal point. It ends up being like kind of like the calling card to this whole thing. So, but yeah, like, the bodies were found, so those people did die. But it's like, did they get invited into, like, when they came here, did they get teleported to the Borderland? And because it felt like that was like a blur between reality, because like it was a different guy there, and then like the guy we knew who won the game was there, like shifted in, and it's like, did Matsuyama like teleport into the game, to the Borderland in that moment, or was that, because it seems like I said he can bleed into the real world and not just that world? So it's like, what we knew before is different. Like, the rules are changing, and then I guess that line between this world and the Borderland is dissolving to the point that he can just do, like I said, maybe they just changed the rules. But we have Usagi meeting up with Matsuyama at the hotel, and she contacts um, Arisu, and she's just like, sorry, and she doesn't say much, and then like, because she knows, like, he approached her, like, now, like, we don't know how much of their memories she got. She definitely remembered everything at the hotel, but I don't know if she remembered everything. So, but maybe she did, and and the moment you're thinking about, like, well, there's the whole thing with her dad, and I'm like, is this her way to try and like connect with her dad again? Because I think she'd even talked about that in maybe season 1 or season 2, about like, maybe she was hoping that maybe she could find her dad in this world too, or that maybe she'd come across him in this world, because he disappeared and she never found out whatever happened to him. So I don't know. And so I don't know if, like, because Matsuyama already knew that about her based on her interview, that was, like I said, a thread he can pull on. So he's trying to find someone in the afterlife, and I think she's doing the same. So it's like, they're both connected in that regard. Like, they are both kind of obsessed with the afterlife for probably similar reasons. It was just about their approach to it. She just kept it a lot of bottled up, and he researched it and tried to find some way there, and he found his in. Poor Arisu, because when he tried to approach the cops, when they saw this footage, they were like, well, most likely they were insinuating it had to be an affair situation. So he's like investigating on his own. He sees the video, and knowing once again that Usagi feels that way and she didn't confide in him kind of hurts. And it's like, where are you, Usagi? Are you okay? I did skip over the fact is he ran into An. The moment like they met, I was like, yo! I was like, wow. Because I was curious, like, how many familiar faces are we going to see? Like, I wonder, is An going to be like one of the, well, other than the guy that's in Borderland? But like, I'm like, who else would from the first 2 seasons will we potentially see? But yeah, she told him about like, yo, you need to, she's like, we went through a lot together. In fact, she's been trying to study that world, trying to remember everything that they went through, which is the irony behind, like, you went through so much to get back. You all earned your second chance and you survived. But it's like that drive and that human need to understand what happened, especially because they all have like the vaguest memory and notion of what happened. So it's like, it's there, I just can't quite access it, and you're desperate to. And so she approaches Arisu in this case, and she ends up bringing up like a certain drug. I'm like, is that how this is going to play out? Like, is there a certain drug that, but it seems like, no, it's a specific drug only in the regards of what it does. It's not like, oh, there's some special drug that sends you to that world. It's like, it's a drug that's meant to stop your heart. I'm sure there's a few that probably could, but this one in particular is meant to stop your heart. Because that was the whole thing of, I didn't remember the 1 minute timeline that everyone who survived, heart only stopped for a minute, but it's like after the 2 minute mark, you can't be resuscitated. So, jumping ahead, Arisu gets his invitation to the games when Home Dude comes to visit him. which I think is so fascinating because he even talked about it. It's like, wow, you're the guy that basically was a part of winning the game as a whole. And he's like, I wanted to meet you. It's like, right, you guys have never met. You have a tangential connection because our introduction to that guy was during that game that Chishia played, if I remember correctly. So that's the only connection they have. So it's like, oh, like, he talks about like, oh, your beloved's taking part in the game. Like, want to welcome you as well, and gave him a Joker card. So that's supposed to be kind of like, I guess essentially kind of like your passport, I guess, or your yeah, I guess passport would probably be still the applicable correlation in this case. But yeah, he immediately finds out from the cops that they found Usagi and she's in a coma. And she's not the only one. Matsuyama was there and they're looking at it like an attempted murder-suicide. And it's like she took some kind of drug. We also find out she was pregnant, but it's such early in the pregnancy that maybe even Usagi wasn't even aware. And I think she probably wasn't I don't know if she'd be so quick to make that decision if she knew she was pregnant. But who knows? Either way, turns out she also had a Joker card, proving like, right, she got her invitation card as well. So considering all of this, and he got a little bit of his memories back. Once again, whether he got all of them back or not is unclear, but he distinctly remembers like the end of the game, the fireworks and everything. Either way, he goes to visit An because she's the only one he can talk to. It's like, right, I'm all this stuff, Usagi, all of this. Like, obviously, it's like if she goes into cardiac arrest, there's a good chance she'll die, but it's like, I need to bring her back. I need to save her. And so An's like, if you do this, like, reminding him is like, if you go through this, he's like, what if I like don't like, make it or whatever. And she's like, then you die. She tells him like, right, we were there for a very long time because it's never clear. If you go back and add up all their visa days, probably gives you perspective on how long they were there. They were definitely there for like months. But like at the end of the day, like time moved differently there regardless. So, but if you add, like I said, total up like how many visa days they had and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, that it was all basically in the time frame of like a minute upon, in this real world. So it's like, if you can save Usagi before that 2-minute marker here in this world, you might be able to bring her back. But if you die there, you die for real, But for Arisu, he's willing to take that chance. It's like he loves her and wants to bring her back. So, it's interesting too because An herself hasn't pulled the trigger on that situation. She's never like tried herself because I think there's a part of her that's a little scared. I mean, as we know, An is very like, she was a doctor of the group and stuff like that because she used to be a cop if I remember correct. Yeah, because she's not a doctor. She served as sort of like a pseudo doctor in ways, but she was actually like a police officer herself, wasn't she? So I think she's very pragmatic, and we saw that in like the first 2 seasons and stuff. So she's not like ready to take that leap, but she gives that opportunity to Arisu, especially because Usagi's heart stopped and you kind of have to make that choice now. And so she injects him and he's like, well, nothing's happened. He's like, he looks at the clock and it stopped. And by the time he turns back on, it's going. I was like, I love that because we never got an outside perspective. Like both with Matsuyama, like that blurring of the lines and stuff we've kept seeing, like even him and Arisu. But it's like, we've never gotten that perspective because our introduction to this world was it Arisu, Chota, and Korebe, but they were all in a stall when the lights went out, so like the transition was even easier. The stark difference now where it's like he turns and then she's gone and the entire world's quiet, like that transition is actually really beautifully done, both in season 1 and in this case considering like the circumstances. But yeah, he goes out, the place was filled with people, and goes out, the city's empty. So he gets pointed in the direction of a game, and he makes his way there, crosses that border, and there he is with a whole bunch of people, which is like, yeah, different from your first game, because your first game, there was only like, 5 people in total in the first game they ever played in episode 1. And now it's like, there's quite a handful. And then they were talking about like teams and stuff, which like, obviously there was quite a few team related things of like, well, you're individuals that can work together as a team. There's games that were obviously just purely individual based. And then there were cases of it was a team versus another team type of situation. So And I saw something that I don't know if it's I don't know if it's necessarily a spoiler. It was just something out of context that made me go, huh, I wonder if this season going to be way more like team orientated games or not. But it might have just been like, oh, the state of the story, like how it's divided. Like, because I guess I assumed like maybe the story would mainly exist from like Arisu's standpoint, but you probably will like bounce back and forth between, like, I mean, you kind of had that in season 2 if I remember correctly, because Usagi and Arisu were separated for a little bit, and you kind of got a little bit of that, like Arisu's side of things and then like Usagi's side of things a little, you know. And there were some other characters, like On, for example, was kind of on her own journey, and we cut back to that a little bit too. But I don't know if that's how like this season's going to be structured, as bouncing between Usagi and Arisu. The thing I saw made it seem like that was the case, but I'm not clear, so that's why I'm like not worried about it being a split. Like I said, it was out of context, so it didn't really mean anything to me. But like I said, I don't know how much Arisu's memories he's gotten back, so I don't know if he's as familiar with the rules of the game. And also, things have changed, so we don't know what the structure of these games are. Do the visa days even exist anymore? I would assume they do, but we don't know. And like I said earlier, like, what about the face cards? Like, how do they compare? Like, whereas like it seems like the Joker card acted as like your get in, like, you know, card, but like, does it play any other significance? Like I said, even in the intro, like the opening, it has like the Joker is at the centerfold of this season. So curious to see how that plays out. I'm so excited to be back in this world with these characters. Obviously, you know, like I said, how many other characters we're familiar with from the previous 2 seasons that'll pop up, we'll have to wait to see. It's applicable to the original manga as well, but I have not read the manga, still haven't, so I don't know where things are going to go. I distinctly remember talking about this during the season 2 finale, but essentially the first 2 seasons of the show covered the entire manga story. There were some things that were changed, some games that were like either put in like montages or completely cut, and you know, some things are a little different, but for the most part it told the entire story of the manga. This in particular is adapting one of 2 spin-off mangas, or maybe it's adapting both, I'll get to that in a second, but one of the mangas follows the story of Arisu trying to find Usagi, who went missing. So it seems like they're adapting that. And so that spin-off serves as like sequel. But there is another manga spin-off. I don't remember. If memory serves me correctly, it followed a completely new character. It might have been some character that did have some connection to the original series, and I just don't remember. I read like the tiniest bit because I just in case it ever did get adapted, I didn't want to like spoil myself on either one. So I don't know how either story plays out. But that story felt like it was its own isolated thing. I don't know if it had any connection at all to the original manga. So at the very least, they're adapting the one that served as kind of a sequel. But I also don't know if maybe they're adapting elements or maybe all of the other spin-off as well, and they're just like combining the 2 into this one season. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But like I said, I'm excited to see what this season has in store for us. I've avoided the trailers, so I have no idea, like I said, what characters we're going to get, what archetypes and stuff like that, personality-wise. But also, I don't even know what to even expect on the game front as well. Like I said, I'm curious to see how much the rules have they stayed the same and how much they've changed, how many pure newbies we have. Is this supposed to be almost like the champions gauntlet, where we have like the champions returning, which I guess you could make the argument the champions are the ones who got to the end of the game and decided to stay citizens. So there was already a little bit of like the championship off already, but now we kind of have like, I don't know, there's a little bit of that kind of still with this, with Arisu and Usagi returning. Like I said, we have no idea who else might have returned as well for whatever reason. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.